Revisiting Gen 1 gave me a little bit of new perspective on these games, and the nostalgia I had for them. It's understandable how the franchise became what it became, but these first games, in hindsight, really have not aged that well. Do you smell that? It's a... What is that? It's so familiar. What is it? Oh, I know what it is. It's old milk from 1995.
2 years ago, I made a half-hour video essay on why the first generation of Pokemon games, while trendsetting at the time, aren't anywhere near as good as people seem to remember them being. In fact, I was a little, harsh on the topic at points.
It's not like I hate Pokemon. I buy each generation as they come out, and like I said in the 2016 video, it's a huge part of who I am. It's kind of helped me become, I guess, the person I am in some weird way. There's just one issue, and it's a huge problem with the games industry as a whole, and something that the Pokemon franchise does heavily. Pandering.
So when I saw the announcement of Pokemon Let's Go, my initial reaction was, well, actually, to be completely honest, I didn't have one. I saw the idea of making a Pokemon Go style RPG and just kind of brushed it off, since, you know, there was no way this was going to be a mainline game.
Son of a bitch! Okay, fine. Another Generation 1 remake, but with the mechanics of the game I labelled the most disappointing title of 2015. Well, I guess if I'm going to do this, I should dive back into that game, just, you know, to refresh my memory.
It's mostly the same, just with more Pokemon now. Shiny Pokemon are also a thing, and there's more generations, gyms have been reworked. Honestly, it's better, but it's still not a great game. It is a lot better than it was, but, you know, to be fair, that's not saying much.
At least the servers are stable nowadays, most likely due to a greatly diminished player base. Either way, let's go into this Eevee version, because that's what this episode's sponsor, Richard Merrifield, bought me. Thank you, I think.
Well, if I'm stuck doing this, then we're gonna have a few ground rules. Firstly, I'm not following anything I did in the 2016 Pokemon Red video, so I'm playing as a girl. Her name is Cake Class because I'm not particularly creative. And we appear to have a new rival who is clearly modelled after the original, so yeah, that seems perfect.
I also happened to be sent the bundle, which came with this Pokeball Plus accessory. It's a novel idea and functions mainly as a controller to play the game. I have a few problems with it though, namely actually just directing my character. See, it's a perfectly spherical design, so this thing just happens to slide a little bit in your hand as you play. You have some issues sometimes, you know, just going forward, because when you think you're pressing forward, you're actually going some other direction.
The big differentiator of these games are of course the starter Pokemon. Unlike the original Generation 1 game, or even their Generation 3 remakes, you get a set partner, either a Pikachu or in this case, Eevee. Since I'm going to be stuck with this fox bugger, I'm gonna name it, Lemon. Yes, Lemon. Lemon the Eevee.
I found out while writing this particular video that in the the fan art communities, lemon means something very, very different. What I'm trying to say is that this particular Eevee was just banned from Tumblr.
I'm pretty sure that everyone knows the plot to Generation 1, so I'm going to mostly gloss over it, you know, in favour of the things that make Let's Go unique. If you really don't know, I do recommend, you know, going and watching my old video, just because.
Oh look, a YouTuber shilling his old content for recurring watch time. Must be a day ending in Y.
Bluntly, it's a cut and paste redo of most of the key events, barring some cutscene animations that, while somewhat new for a Pokemon game, clearly aren't that high end, with the real changes being in the gameplay itself. In every other Pokemon game, you level up your partners by battling both trainers and wild Pokemon. Here, there is no option to battle wild Pokemon. Instead, you only get to catch them.
And this is where the problems begin. The game can't decide if it wants to go full-on Gen 1 remake or full-on Pokemon Go hybrid.
The catching is the best example of this. On the surface, sure, it looks a lot like Pokemon Go's system of just throwing balls wildly. However, it is somehow a lot more irritable. Firstly, the controller isn't the most precise when it comes to motion controls. Many times I threw a ball in the same way only to have multiple different outcomes. Hitting dead on, missing, or seemingly a second later after I threw it. Also of note, unlike Pokemon Go, the target circle will continue to shrink after you commit to a throw, so don't get too attached. The chances of success are quite low, and the catch rate seems kind of, well, wrong. Like, I can't confirm it since I don't possess the tools to reverse engineer the game, but from how after a while Poke and Great Balls become totally worthless, it does seem that the game that charges you real money in exchange for resources is easier to catch Pokemon on.
Holy hell! Did I just praise Pokemon Go for something? Clearly I must be feeling sick.
Here's the real problem with this catching system. The only way to get any real experience points is to chain the same Pokemon in a row. However, that requires resources in both money and capture devices. So how does the game compensate in the early areas where you need to grind out the most for the challenges ahead?
It doesn't. You end up spending a ton of money on Pokeballs while struggling to avoid other items you need, like antidotes and potions.
To compensate, most trainers will also give you Pokeballs along with the usual prize money, but it's not really much help, at least not at the start of the game. To be honest, as the game wore on, I noticed more and more that I just didn't care to catch Pokemon. Sure, at the start, when you need the experience, sure, you'll be chaining away, but after a while, catching Pokemon felt, well, pointless. As soon as you get past the story climax at Silphco, you've got more than enough power under your belt to deal with any level difference. Plus this game's stat system is a bit, well, there's no other word for it, wonky.
This neatly brings me to how this new take on a Pokemon game handles stat growth. See, in a traditional game, you would earn points by knocking out a certain type of Pokemon for a certain stat, known as an effort value. So, for example, you would, to raise your attack stat, go fish up a bunch of Gyarados and farm those until you hit 252 points in that particular stat. I appreciate for a lot of people that's a very simplistic explanation, and I will link a better one in the description, but that's generally the gist of it.
Obviously, since Let's Go is trying to be more accessible, something that complex has to go. What we have in its place instead is what is being referred to as affection values. See, when you catch too many of one Pokemon, you can transfer them to Professor Oak and receive various candies for your efforts. What those candies then do is raise a certain stat, up to 200 times per stat.
This is obscenely broken and extremely easy to abuse. In the later parts of the game, the enemies had a 5 to 10 level advantage on me, and I was sweeping them with ease.
This hand-holding continues into the gym battles too. In order to even enter, you have to pass a minor challenge of sorts, be it something such as having a Pokemon of a certain level, of a certain type, so on and so forth. And it's always stuff that'll put you at a major advantage. The lack of challenge is a persistent problem in many areas. Eevee, for example, will learn Double Kick, a fighting type move that it doesn't normally learn in other games extraordinarily early to help with Brock's gym. Many of these CPU trainers are brain dead. To even challenge Koga, you have to have a Pokemon that is several levels higher than any of his.
Bluntly, the game treats you like an idiot. And I don't know why it took me so long to say that, just really roundabout way to say that. I guess I'm not valuing your intelligence right now. I guess I'm treating you like an idiot. Sorry about that.
The more and more this went on, the harder and harder it became for me to enjoy myself. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some kind of, hardcore From Software title junkie who has platinum trophies in Bloodborne, but I'm certainly above kids games, and boy howdy, this feels like a goddamn afternoon at Chuck E. Cheese. It even gives you a little bloody toy to play with, one you can put your little Pokemon buddy inside of.
You heard that right. You can take Pokemon out on your daily commute with you. How bad could that be?
Got some errands to run today, so I guess I'll take the game's advice. I'm going to walk with this. I've got the Magikarp in here today, so I will record briefly here and there. This little fun segment of the video shot on a cell phone. This started going crazy in my pocket. I have no idea what it wants, but I'm in the middle of a program project junction, so I'll rub it so it shuts up. Okay, you done? You done? I think it's done.
I'm in there, and it just wouldn't stop vibrating in my pocket. And I mean, you saw me briefly in line there, as I was quickly rubbing it into the shut. On the way out of the door as well, it started vibrating again. I picked it up and I pressed the button on it, and then it started doing the rainbow thing. So I'm guessing I did enough stuff to level up. But it's kind of the most annoying Tamagotchi on the planet, if I'm honest with you.
You are the neediest child. I'm walking around Walmart now because this thing won't leave me alone.
You look so shady doing this.
Yeah, they expect people to walk around with this. Why are we even in the section for the record?
Camping. Camping supplies.
It just won't stop. It just... Stop.
Oh, and the game pretty much breaks itself when you do this. I took the Eevee out for a single day and blam! 30 odd levels. This is super broken.
This Pokeball here is borderline pay to win, I swear.
So it's too easy. The game is a rehash of titles that already have fantastic remakes. The sold separate accessory is a really bad controller, but insanely useful for easy leveling, and the game constantly throws you advantages that you don't really need. After a while, it begs the question, what's the point in playing it? Seriously, I found myself ignoring Pokemon, instead focusing on battling, but even the brain-dead AI and cut-down move pools made that a chore. The story hasn't been expanded on, the Savai Island content from Fire and Leaf Green that at least gave you more Team Rocket lore has been completely cut, and I want to kill myself!
Now, you could argue that this game is not aimed at someone like me, and that I should go back to playing with meme teams on Pokemon Showdown. But hold on a second. I'm 26, nearly 27. That means I was 7 years old when the first generation of Pokemon games hit back home in Blighty. I've grown up alongside the franchise, played each generation as it came out, and even gone as far as to buy the newest Nintendo handheld hardware in order to play this series. So can you tell me again how this isn't aimed at someone like me?
And I really can't stress how pointless Pokemon catching felt to me in the end. Why bother? All I'm going to do is get forced to chain a certain species in hope that a shiny appears or that I get a decent XP boost, when I could instead just battle a trainer and get even more XP and just get through this mess. Apparently I'm alone in this though, since over at IGN, Miranda Sanchez said that she loved how she could, and I quote, prioritize catching the Pokemon she wanted. Alright, so Miranda, this here is the original Pokemon logo. Alright, you see that there? We're going to zoom in on it. There we go. That catchphrase, what does it say? Gotta what them all?
Now, if she just said that she liked it because it made it easier for her to, I don't know, finish the game to get her review up earlier so she could be one of the first people on Metacritic to get clicks for her stupid website, I'd have been okay with it. Because otherwise, you're basically praising a mechanic which goes against, the core values of the series at hand. I appreciate that I've just got on a little bit off topic here, but, you know, paper thin intent and all that.
My journey with the game ended right about here. After I got the 8th and final gym badge, I could have easily gone ahead to Victory Road, the Elite Four, and then finally the Champion. But honestly I felt burned out and like I was wasting my time.
Instead, I elected to go back to every other game that I hadn't finished this year. Not to end this video on a downer, but this past year hasn't been easy for me. Being completely blunt with you, I've been kind of miserable for a large chunk of it for various reasons. But something about this whole experience got me back on the horse. Literally, I've been playing a ton of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a really great game, by the way. Really, really enjoying it. But I don't know, I started opening up to the people I loved about how I felt. I started making videos again. God knows I've been doing that for a few months. And I've started working on more ideas. I've got 2 other videos I'm working on right now. I've got a 3rd one in the pipeline. I've been reaching out more and more to other creative people. I've been just getting back to being me, I guess. What I'm trying to say is you can take that as a thing and slap it on the box. This game is so boring, it cured my depression. Good night!